guys, it's me, Laura. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, ages 3, 8, and 11, and today I'm going to share with you some fantastic books that have to do with European Middle Ages. We just finished up a really great unit study, and the books that I'm going to show you today mostly came from the library, some came from our bookshelf, but I also wanted to let you know I have timestamps below, so if you only want to see picture books or you only want to see chapter books or whatnot, you can check out the part that you want below, and be sure also to check out the blog posts that I have linked. I have links to all these books. I also have more resources because I'll be showing a few more books in our unit study walkthrough video that's going to be coming up soon, and so I just have loads and loads of resources. So if you are looking for books on the Middle Ages, this is your source. This is Walter the Baker by Eric Carle. Walter the Baker is famous for his breads, rolls, cookies, tarts, and pies. The Duke and Duchess especially love his warm sweet rolls delivered fresh to their castle every morning. But one day the cat spills the milk, and Walter is forced to serve the Duke and Duchess rolls made with water. After one bite, the Duke throws down the roll in disgust and summons Walter to the castle. He threatens to banish the baker unless he can take the same dough and make a good-tasting roll that the rising sun can shine through 3 times. Will Walter succeed in his task, or will he have to leave his town forever? So this is really fun because, as you can see from the back, it is about pretzels, and that is one of my son's favorite medieval dishes to make, is a pretzel. So you could totally read this book, make pretzels, and maybe even learn a little bit more about the history of pretzels. The Knight and the Dragon by Tommy DePaulo. What happens when a sheepish knight and a not-so-fierce dragon fight for the first time? You might guess that it will be no ordinary fight when the knight has to go to the castle library to take out a book on dragon fighting, while the dragon is digging through the ancestors' things to find out how to fight a knight. The outcome of their almost gallant attempt is a bizarre, fun-filled surprise. In an almost wordless picture, Tommy DePaulo depicts in vibrant, full color every last detail of their lavish preparation and truly offbeat duel. The Squire and the Scroll. This is a Christian book that I've actually had on my bookshelves for years. It's been a long time since I've read it, but I figured now would be a good time to pull it out. A Tale of the Rewards of a Pure Heart. This captivating adventure follows a young squire who travels a long, dangerous road beside his brave knight on a quest for their king. The action builds until the final face-off with a monstrous evil dragon. Only then does the squire learn of the secret beyond the cave that ends in joyous celebration of the entire kingdom. Children will gain valuable insight as they learn, along with the young squire, what it means to face the dangers of temptation and what it takes to guard one's heart from all that is impure. Small Knight and George. This is one of my kids' favorite books. Knights are supposed to be big and brave, but Small Knight doesn't feel big and brave. In fact, he shivers in his boots as he rides out on his horse in search of a fierce dragon to fight. He goes from place to place asking the local people if they've seen a dragon. The stories they tell him are so frightening that he realizes he really doesn't want to fight a dragon at all. On his way home at the end of the day, Small Knight meets a strange but friendly little creature hiding in the shrubbery. What Small Knight fails to realize is that this seemingly innocent meeting will cause general panic from the moment he returns home to his castle. Usborne Beginner's Knights. I've got several of these beginner books. They all have little bite-sized information. They're great for early readers, and they're also just great for a brief introduction to some of these topics. And there are quick links, internet links that go along with each one, so you can look up more information online very easily. Did you know that boys started training to be knights when they were just 6 years old? In this fascinating book, you can find out what it was like to be a knight and learn about battles, jousts, castles, and lots more. This is the castles one. Who lived in a castle and what was it like? In this book, you'll find the answers and lots more about the wonderful world of castles. This is from the same series, and this one is on Vikings. Did you know that Vikings were both terrifying raiders and brave explorers? In this fascinating book, you can find out what it was like to be a Viking and learn about Viking homes, feasts, boats, gods, and much more. If you were a kid in a medieval castle. During the Middle Ages, wealthy and powerful nobles lived in huge buildings called castles with their families, soldiers, and servants. Travel through time with Margaret and Henry as they have an adventure in the castle where they live in this exciting blend of fiction and nonfiction. You will see that life today is a lot different than it was in the past. Medieval Feast by Aliki. I love this one, and I might actually try to find the Reading Rainbow episode that mentions this, and watch that with the kids as well. A medieval feast. The king is coming to visit. The lord and lady of Camdenton Manor must work quickly to prepare for his arrival. It will take weeks to ready rooms, set up tents, and prepare the feast itself. Everyone is busy hunting and hawking, brewing and churning. This will be a feast to remember. Kublai Khan, the emperor of everything. Now, I got this book in hopes that it would help us branch away a little bit from European Middle Ages to get my kids interested in a little bit more of the world. Now, true to form, exactly what I was expecting when we turned to these pages in our history text, The Medieval World by Usborne, the kids immediately said, "Oh, boring." But when I pulled out this book, it completely changed their mind, and now they're very interested in learning a little bit more about Asian warriors and life in ancient Asia, which is super exciting. Kublai Khan, Emperor of China, was a man who liked living large. In the 13th century, he ruled over the largest empire in the world, one that was light years ahead of the Western world in the arts and sciences. He built a city later known as Beijing into a magnificent capital, lived in palaces that were the last word in luxury, and threw birthday bashes for himself with 40,000 guests. Small wonder that Marco Polo trekked over 5,000 miles to meet the great Khan in 1275 in order to witness firsthand such marvels as silk production, exotic spices, and money made of paper. Always cast in a supporting role in the numerous books about Marco Polo, Kublai Khan now takes center stage in a splendid picture book biography, with astonishingly beautiful and detailed illustrations by Robert Byrd and witty, incisive text by Kathleen Krull. Here is a book that finally gives Kublai Khan his due. St. George and the Dragon. Now, this is a very classic medieval tale that my kids all loved, all three of them. And it says, set in the days when monsters and giants and fairy folk lived in England. This retelling of a classic and well-loved tale recounts the battle between St. George and the Dragon, a creature so huge and fearsome that his tail swept the land behind him for almost half a mile, and whose deep jaws gaped wide, showing 3 rows of iron teeth ready to devour his prey. In graceful and evocative prose, Margaret Hoggett retells the dramatic story from Edmund Spenser's Fairy Queen. Trina Sharp-Hyman portrays the monstrous dragon, the long horrible battle, and the final victory celebration in exquisite detail, bringing her full artistic genius to bear in this work. Both storyteller and artist have recreated this timeless legend in a book for children for generations to come. The Kitchen Knight, a tale of King Arthur. The Kitchen Knight retells the first part of the tale of Sir Gareth of Orkney, one of the most exciting and entertaining of the stories about King Arthur and his knights, which first appeared in Sir Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur. In this glorious tale, Gareth, King Arthur's nephew, is knighted by Sir Lancelot, vanquishes the dreaded Knight of the Red Plain, and wins the hand of a fair maiden. Blockhead, the life of Fibonacci. So this would be a really fun way to include math into your unit study and talk about the Fibonacci sequence. As a young boy in medieval Italy, Leonardo Fibonacci thought about numbers day and night. He was such a daydreamer that people called him a blockhead. When Leonardo grew up and traveled the world, he was inspired by the numbers used in different countries, especially the Hindu-Arabic numerals he learned about in Africa. Then he realized that many of the things in nature seemed to follow a certain pattern. The boy, who was once teased for being a blockhead, had discovered what came to be known as the Fibonacci sequence. Today, Leonardo Fibonacci is famous for his simple word problem about multiplying rabbits and is now considered one of the greatest Western mathematicians of all time. This is his story, the tale of a man who was certainly not a blockhead. And then in the back of this book, it has some different activities that you can do to kind of play with the numbers, which is really fun. You wouldn't want to be a medieval knight. Armor you'd rather not wear. Again, I'm not crazy about these books, but my kids really like them. They're a little bit negative and kind of overbearing in their tone. Get ready. As a boy growing up in a castle in the Middle Ages, all you want to be is a champion to the king. But can you make it as a medieval knight? It's dangerous. Top tips from experts. If you'd prefer a quiet life, you can pay the king a tax called a scutage, shield money, to avoid becoming a knight. Don't be old-fashioned. Remember, styles of armors change over the year. Take part in tournaments. They're good practice for battle. Be careful if you're chosen to carry a banner in battle. It will make you an easy target for enemies. The Medieval Messenger. This is an Usborne book that is a lot like a medieval newspaper. What they're saying about the medieval messenger. Watch out for the castle storming, turnip chewing, surf stomping, mead guzzling, hard rolling messenger from the Sunday surf. A sultry stunner from noblewoman's realm. 32 pages of words and pictures, revolting peasant monthly. What we're saying about the medieval messenger. Forsooth, 'tis ye rollicking romp through yesterday's shocks, horrors, and sensations. 50 things you didn't know about the Middle Ages. My kids wanted me to check out this book because they want to prove that the book can't teach them anything. They know 50 things about the Middle Ages, but I think they're going to be surprised with some of the things that they learned in this book. Castles and knights, plagues and sieges, the danger of bathroom breaks in the Middle Ages. Discover 50 amazing and amusing facts about cleaning up, or not, during the Middle Ages. This covers the topics of feudalism, castles and warfare, knights and armor, daily life, plague, and medicine. There's also a section in the back called Explore More that has some book suggestions, as well as a website that you can visit to learn more information. This is part of a series. They have one on colonial America, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and the Old West. You wouldn't want to be a Viking explorer. Get ready. As an adventurous young Viking, you're about to go in search of new lands and will embark on difficult and dangerous voyages as a Viking explorer. It's dangerous. Top tips from experts. Pray to the Viking gods to bring luck and good weather for your journey. Keep hens on board your longship for a supply of fresh eggs. Rub animal fat into your goatskin boots to keep them waterproof. Always keep your axe, spear, and sword sharp and ready for action. Follow the stars and the sun to navigate across the ocean. And this is part of the You Wouldn't Want to Be series. There are so many in this series. Castle by David Macaulay. You may have seen other books that he's done. He's done City, Pyramid, a Cathedral, all sorts of books. So this is a very, very popular artist, and there are some really great pictures in here as well. Castle. The word itself conjures up mystery, romance, intrigue, and grandeur. What could be more perfect subject for an author/artist who has continually stripped away at the mystique of architectural structures that have long fascinated modern man? In the 13th century, when England was attempting to conquer Wales, the English built impressive fortresses with adjoining towns that in the long run proved more effective in bringing about the desired conquest than the castles themselves. With typical zest and a wry sense of humor punctuating his drawings, David Macaulay traces the step-by-step planning and construction of both castle and town, from the hiring of a skilled master engineer to the actual test of castle defense, when hundreds of Welsh soldiers launched a direct attack. Generous illustrations full of explicit details and unusual perspectives masterfully combine with the straightforward and lucid text to guide the reader through the engrossing exploration. Drawing upon the qualities that have made his other books so successful, superb design, magnificent illustration, and clearly presented information, David Macaulay has once again illuminated a subject with his own unique perception and sensitivity. This one is Cathedral, also by David Macaulay, and while the overall idea is the same, the illustrations in this one are different, and it does have color. Readers worldwide recognize David Macaulay's imaginary cathedral of Chartres. Originally published in 1973, this critically acclaimed book has since been translated into a dozen languages and remains a classic of children's literature and a touchstone for budding architects. Cathedral's numerous awards include prestigious Caldecott honor and designations as both New York Times Best Illustrated Books of the Year and the ALA Notable Book. Now, in this first ever standalone colored edition, David Macaulay reimagines his pen and ink masterpiece in lush felt-tip marker and vibrant colored pencil. Factual and artistic details shine in a revised text that reflects newly researched information to deepen understanding of the cathedral's structural complexity and awe-inspiring design. Journey back to centuries long ago and revisit the fictional people of the 12th, 13th, and 14th century Europe, whose dreams, like Cathedral, stand the test of time. This is The Duke and the Peasant, Life in the Middle Ages, and this is an adventures in art book, so this would be really great if you like to do art study in your homeschool. Duke de Berry's magical calendar pictures in the Tres de Jures give a colorful, richly detailed account of the life of peasants and nobles through the changing seasons. The cold, snowy days of winter and the warmth of the open fire, spring with its fresh colors and flowers everywhere, summer with harvesters laboring in the heat, and autumn when the grapes are picked and the seeds are sown. If you wanted to do a unit study just on knights, this book, Eyewitnesses Knight, would be a great one. This is by D.K. It says, explore the lives of medieval mounted warriors from the battlefield to the banquet table. Discover deadly weapons such as caltrops, maces, and poleaxes. Find out why knights decorated their shields with coats of arms and other symbols, and see the different types of armor worn by knights and their horses. I actually contemplated doing a unit study just on knights and making this be the nonfiction spine, but I decided to go full out and do more aspects of medieval times. Picture that, knights and castles, exploring history through art. Picture this, it is the year 1350. You're only 7 years old, but you know that you want to become a knight. Because you are from a noble family, your dream is possible. Soon you will leave your family's house and go to live with a respected knight in his castle. You will work as his page, and in return he will teach you knightly skills. Your life will never be the same again. So this has paintings from artists such as John Fouquet, Peter Bruegel the Younger, and Paolo Uccello. And this would be an excellent book for picture study that goes along with a unit study, or if you just anything really related to art study, this would be an excellent addition to that. Feudalism and village life in the Middle Ages. This is part of a series that I may get more of, I may not, we'll see how this goes, but it talks all about the Middle Ages, and there's several books in this series. Once described as the Dark Ages, 1,000 years without a bath, the Middle Ages were truly a time of immense social change, of outstanding achievements in art and science, and of deep spirituality. During the period from about AD 500 to 1500, nobles became kings and took power over increasingly vast regions. Knights pledged allegiance to kings and other lords and fought to acquire riches, or went on crusades to take the Holy Land from the Muslims. Christianity spread throughout the region, and with increasing trade, towns grew into cities. While peasants worked the land, European travelers took off for lands previously unknown to them. Using primary sources and colorful reproductions of medieval manuscripts and artwork, each title in the World Almanac Library of the Middle Ages covers a different aspect of the fascinating but often unappreciated time period. Timelines and focus boxes enhance the text and direct readers to other sources of information. This is Knights from the Usborne Discovery series. This is very similar to their beginner series, but it's actually meant for older kids and is a little bit more challenging, has a little bit more meat to it as well. It's also internet linked, so you can go onto Usborne Quick Links website, and there's videos and activities and all sorts of things that are linked from this book, and sometimes they have pictures you can print out too. In medieval times, knights were the most powerful soldiers on the battlefield. This new Usborne Discovery book explores in fascinating and sometimes gory detail how they lived, died, and eventually died out altogether. You'll find answers to hundreds of questions about knights, including how did people become knights? What did coats of arms actually mean? What kinds of weapons did knights use? And what did knights do when they weren't fighting? This is a book that one of my kids particularly requested when he saw my list. It's called Weapon, A Visual History of Arms and Armor. The epic 4,000-year illustrated story of weaponry. Discover the innovative design, broad range, lethal function, and brutal history of arms, from stone axes to heavy machine guns and grenades, crossbows and arrows to samurai swords, warriors, from Roman legionaries, Mongol horsemen, Aztecs and Plains Indians, through the French infantrymen of World War I and U.S. Navy SEALs, are portrayed with weapons they developed and wielded. There are over 350 pages in this book, so it is quite large. Manners and Customs in the Middle Ages. This is part of a series of books called the Medieval World Series, and it includes so many books. There's The Life of a Knight, Medieval Warfare, Life in a Castle, Medieval Society, Places of Worship in the Middle Ages, Women and Girls in the Middle Ages, Clothing in the Middle Ages, Children and Games, Food and Feasts, Medieval Towns, Trade and Travel, Life in a Monastery, Life in a Manor, Science and Technology, Arts and Literature, Famous People, Manners and Customs, which is this one, Medieval Medicine, Medieval Myths, Legends, and Songs, Medieval Law and Punishment, and also medieval projects you can do. So this would be an excellent resource to have. I mean, you could really use this to be the backbone of a unit study, pick out the ones that are most interesting to your kids, and just totally explore. So this could definitely, if you have access to this series in your library, this could certainly be a very solid spine for your unit study. Marguerite makes a book. It's Paris in the early 1400s, and Lady Isabel is getting anxious for the beautiful book she commissioned. In this delightful story, Arthur Bruce Robinson tells what happens on the very eventful day when the talented young Marguerite, daughter of most famous manuscript illuminator in Paris, discovers she's going to have to lend a hand if Lady Isabel is to have her book on time. With illustrations by award-winning artist Catherine Hewitt, Marguerite Makes a Book is a colorful adventure set in medieval Paris that shows readers of all ages the painstaking craftsmanship that went into making of the sumptuous books that are among the treasure of the Getty Museum. This, as you can tell, is a very loved copy, well-loved copy of the Usborne graphic novel version of Robin Hood. And it's England, 1194. The poor folk of Nottingham find themselves at the mercy of their heartless, money-grabbing sheriff. But deep in Sherwood Forest, rebellion is growing. Join brave Robin and his band of daring friends as they pit their wits against the sheriff and his ruthless ally, Guy of Gisborne. Swashbuckling thrills come thick and fast in this action-packed graphic legend. This is a graphic medieval history book, The Dark Ages and the Vikings. So in this series, there are also the books Castles, Crusades, Knights, Rebellion and Revolt, The Black Death, and The Dark Ages and the Viking. Graphic medieval history tells real stories about the ravaging plagues, famous battles, religious crusades, and the kings, knights, and rebels that shaped the medieval world. Each book features facts and historical photos that set the stage for 3 dramatic stories told in graphic novel format. The Dark Ages and the Vikings, 3 historic battles from the arrival of the Vikings in early Britain to the Norman invasion are told in graphic novel format. In 793, the sacking of Lindisfarne is the first Viking raid on Britain. At Edgington, Alfred the Great defends the kingdom of Wessex from Vikings. In 1066, English forces, exhausted from fighting the Vikings, face a new invader, Norman king, William the Conqueror. So this is definitely a great option for your kids who enjoy graphic novels. They could read this on their own as kind of a supplement to what you are learning. This is another graphic novel, and it comes from the Science Comics series. We've read these before, and my kids really enjoy them. I included this one because of the Plague series. I wanted to include a little bit more about medical stuff and to help kids understand what a plague is and how it works. And so I thought that this might be a really good addition when we're talking about the plague that killed so many people in the Middle Ages. Go viral with plagues. In a future where we have the technology to communicate with the diseases that make us sick, a brave scientist dares to interrogate the microorganisms behind some of the world's deadliest epidemics. If she can convince yellow fever and bubonic plague to cooperate, they can be mutated into allies that attack newer and deadlier cells that cause a health crisis all over the globe. It's infectious. Plagues, the microscopic battlefield. In gloriously gross detail, you'll meet dangerous microscopic invaders like protozoa, fungi, viruses, and foreign bacteria. Then see how our bodies work to fight back and defend us against future infections. You may want to wash your hands after reading. This is a fun choose your own journey chapter book, so you make a choice as to what happens next in the story. As a knight in medieval Europe, you are sworn to uphold honor and protect the innocent. You bravely face dangerous battles, equipped only with your armor, sword, and superior fighting skills. Will you travel from France to the holy city of Jerusalem as part of the Crusades? Serve at the side of English King Edward III during the 100 Years' War? Or battle for your way of life in Germany during the Peasants' War? Experience the exciting, dangerous world of a highly trained warrior. You choose what you'll do next. The choices you make could lead you to fame, riches, or even to death. This is the fact tracker from the Magic Treehouse. You can read it alone. We really like reading these books. They're nonfiction books, or you can read them alongside your favorite Magic Treehouse books. This one says, When Jack and Annie came back from their adventure in Magic Treehouse number 2, The Night at Dawn, they had lots of questions. How were castles built? What was it like to live inside a castle? Did horses really wear armor? How did boys train to become knights? It's time to be a fact checker with Jack and Annie. Build It Medieval World. Make super cool models with your favorite Lego parts. Castle grounds, merry jousts, dragon caves, what scenes will you build today? This series of visually rich instruction books for Lego creations is perfect for children ages 5 and up. From ferocious dragons to adventuring horses, a castle wall to a dungeon, and much more, you'll find a range of creativity-sparking ideas inside these pages. Whimsical dioramas evoke imaginary scenes in which Lego creations can interact. Easy-to-follow step-by-step instructions take the guesswork out of building. All models can be created using the LEGO Classic Set 10695 and 10698. A visual glossary makes the book easy to navigate. When we start each unit study, I will make a list of books that I want to check out at the library. And this time, instead of me picking which of those books we started with and which ones we had, I actually had the kids go through and tell me which books they were both interested in. Both boys were very interested in this book, so I for sure had to get this one. It's Tabletop Warps, Break the Siege, Make Your Own Catapults. Construct an arsenal of many models of large launchers based on siege weapons used throughout history. All you need are everyday items and some adult help. Test out a medieval trebuchet, spring-armed catapult, blasting ballista, onagger, and more. Wheel them out as you conduct a siege and load your catapults with raisins or marshmallows. Bite-sized facts explain how these siege weapons were used in history too. So those are our books. Again, be sure to look for the upcoming video where I'm going to share everything that we used for our Middle Ages unit study, as well as a few more books. And be sure to check out the link below where I will have all the books listed, as well as links so that you can check them out online. You can definitely get them at your library. That's what I did with most of these books. And I would love to know which book is your favorite, what looks the most interesting to you, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.